You're not getting Grandma's ring. The law office smelled like old leather and disappointment, which seemed fitting for what was about to unfold. My sister Victoria sat across from me, her manicured fingers already drumming against her designer purse, that smirk playing on her lips like she'd already won the lottery. You're not getting Grandma's ring. Victoria laughed as the lawyer shuffled his papers. I already took it months ago. She touched her neck where the elaborate diamond piece sparkled, each stone catching the afternoon light streaming through the blinds. Grandma wanted me to have it. She told me so when she was barely conscious. I kept my face neutral, the way Grandma Eleanor had taught me during our Saturday afternoon poker games. Never show your cards, Delia, she'd say. Not until you're ready to take everything. Mr. Richardson, the estate lawyer, cleared his throat, a sound that seemed to echo off the mahogany panels. Actually, there's a second will. Victoria's hand flew to her neck, fingers wrapping around the ring like she could protect it from words alone. The smirk crumbled faster than week-old cookies. What second will? Her voice pitched high, that same tone she'd used when we were kids and Mom caught her stealing my Halloween candy. Mr. Richardson pulled out a document from a separate folder, the paper crisp and official. Mrs. Eleanor Whitmore filed this with my partner 6 months ago. She was quite specific about the instructions. The ring Victoria wore, the one she'd been flaunting at every family gathering, the one she'd posted 17 times on Instagram with hashtags like #blessed and #grandmaslove. That ring? Grandma's Decoy. The real diamonds were already in my safe, had been for half a year, along with the rest of Grandma's true treasures. My name is Delia Whitmore, and I'm 29 years old. For the past decade, I've watched my sister take everything, my parents' attention, my childhood room when she needed a home office, my college boyfriend, though that turned out to be a favor, and piece by piece, our grandmother's affection. Or so everyone thought. This is ridiculous, Victoria snapped, snatching the document from Mr. Richardson's hands. Her eyes scanned the pages, growing wider with each paragraph. This can't be legal. I assure you, Ms. Whitmore, everything has been properly notarized and witnessed. Your grandmother was of sound mind and body when she made these changes. Mr. Richardson adjusted his glasses, clearly enjoying this more than he should. Would you like me to read the relevant portions aloud? Victoria's knuckles went white as she gripped the papers. I could see her calculating, trying to find the angle, the loophole, the way to turn this back into her victory. Please do, I said, speaking for the first time since we'd sat down. Mr. Richardson nodded, pulling out his reading glasses. To my granddaughter Victoria Marie Whitmore, I leave the ring she so eagerly claimed from my jewelry box during what she believed was my final week. May she wear it with the same authenticity it possesses. Victoria's face flushed red. What does that mean? The ring you're wearing, I said quietly, is cubic zirconia. Beautiful, convincing, but ultimately fake. Grandma had it made specifically for you after she overheard you on the phone with your friend Jessica, planning how you'd take her jewelry before she died. That's slander. That's what Grandma's recording app caught, I countered, pulling out my phone. She was quite tech-savvy for 83. Started recording everything after her first minerstroke when you told everyone she was going senile. Mr. Richardson continued reading. To my granddaughter Delia Rose Whitmore, who spent every Saturday afternoon with me not for what she could inherit but for the joy of my company, who learned my mother's recipes and my father's card tricks, who never once asked about my will but asked about my stories. To her, I leave my true estate. He pulled out another folder, this one significantly thicker. The genuine Whitmore Diamond Collection, valued at approximately $2 million. The house on Maple Street. The investment portfolio. And this letter, to be read aloud in the presence of both granddaughters. Victoria stood up so fast her chair tipped backward. This is fraud. She was senile. I'll contest this. Sit down, Victoria, Mr. Richardson said firmly. The letter specifically addresses your likely reaction. She sat, but her whole body vibrated with rage. The lawyer unfolded a handwritten note, Grandma's distinctive cursive flowing across the page. My dear girls, by now, Victoria has discovered that the ring she took, yes, took, not received, is as false as her tears at my hospital bedside. I watched her pocket it while pretending to adjust my pillows. I watched her take the silver from my dresser, not knowing I'd replaced it all with cheap alternatives. Every piece she stole in those last months, thinking I was too weak to notice, was a decoy. Delia, you never asked for anything, but you gave me everything. Your time, your genuine love, your Saturday afternoons when you could have been with friends. You learned my history not to catalogue my possessions but to preserve my memories. When Victoria was calculating my worth, you were calculating how many cookies we'd need for the church bake sale. The real jewelry, the real treasures, I gave to Delia months ago, along with clear instructions. Not because she asked, but because she didn't. Victoria, that ring you're wearing? I had it specially made. It's actually quite expensive, the finest fake money can buy. Wear it well. It suits you perfectly. The silence that followed felt alive, electric, dangerous. You knew, Victoria whispered, turning to me with eyes that could have melted steel. You knew and you let me make a fool of myself. I knew Grandma, I corrected. I knew her favorite tea was Earl Grey with honey, not sugar. I knew she was afraid of thunderstorms because they reminded her of the war. I knew she kept Grandpa's letters in her nightstand and read them every anniversary. You knew her bank account balance. Don't act so superior, Victoria snarled. You played the long game. All those Saturdays, all those cookies, all that fake sweetness. It wasn't fake. My voice stayed level, though my heart hammered. That's what you never understood. I didn't visit Grandma for her money. I visited her for her stories about working in the code-breaking unit during World War II. For her advice about my terrible boyfriends. For the way she laughed at my stupid jokes. The inheritance? That's just stuff. The real gift was the time I got with her. Victoria's hand went back to the necklace. I'll sue. I'll prove she was incompetent. Mr. Richardson pulled out another document. Mrs. Whitmore anticipated this as well. Here are 3 separate cognitive evaluations from the months before her death, all showing perfect mental acuity. Additionally, she had every interaction with Victoria recorded and transcribed. Would you like me to read the transcript from March 15th, where you told your mother that you were, quote, just waiting for the old bat to die already? Victoria's face cycled through several colors before settling on a sort of grayish pale that matched her fake diamonds. There's more, Mr. Richardson said, almost apologetically. Mrs. Whitmore discovered that Victoria had been taking money from her accounts using the emergency credit card she'd been entrusted with. Approximately $30,000 over 2 years. She could have pressed charges but chose not to, with one condition. What condition? Victoria's voice was barely a whisper. That you attend a family dinner once a month with Delia for the next year. If you miss even one, the evidence goes to the district attorney. That's blackmail. That's consequences, I said, standing and gathering my purse. Grandma always believed in redemption. She thought if you actually spent time with family without an agenda, you might remember what it's supposed to be about. Victoria ripped the necklace off, throwing it on the lawyer's desk. Keep it. I don't want fake jewelry. But it's perfect for you, I said, heading toward the door. Beautiful on the surface, impressive to people who don't look too close, ultimately hollow. Grandma was poetic like that. You're a snake, Victoria hissed. You manipulated a dying woman. I paused at the doorway, looking back at my sister, the one who'd announced at Grandma's funeral that she was too grief-stricken to speak, then spent the reception networking for her real estate business. No, Victoria. I loved her. The difference is, she knew it. Your last words to her were asking about the ring. Mine were I love you, see you Saturday. Guess which one she valued more. I left then, walking out into the afternoon sun that seemed brighter somehow. My phone buzzed with messages from family members who'd already heard through Victoria's frantic texts. Let them talk. Let them speculate. In my car, I pulled out the real ring from my purse, not to wear, but to look at. It wasn't just the diamonds that made it valuable. It was the inscription inside, worn but still readable. To my Eleanor, who sees through all disguises. Forever, James. Grandpa had given it to her after she'd decoded a particularly difficult German cipher. She'd told me that story 16 times, and I'd loved it every single time. Victoria had never heard it once because she always had somewhere more important to be when Grandma started rambling about the old days. That evening, I sat in Grandma's house, my house now, surrounded by boxes of her things. Not the valuables Victoria had catalogued, but the real treasures. Photo albums, her journal from the war, Grandpa's love letters, recipes handwritten on index cards stained with decades of use. My phone rang. Mom, how could you? She started without preamble. Victoria is devastated. Victoria is exposed, I corrected. There's a difference. She's your sister. Yes, and Grandma was our grandmother. Did you know Victoria charged $40,000 worth of medical supplies to Grandma's credit card? Supplies that were actually her vacation to Cabo. Silence. We thought Grandma was covering that trip as a gift, Mom said quietly. She did, in a way. She covered for Victoria instead of sending her to jail. That was the gift. This is going to destroy the family. I looked around the living room where Grandma and I had spent countless Saturdays, where she'd taught me to play poker and knit and how to spot a liar at 40 paces. No, Mom. Victoria destroyed the family when she turned Grandma into a payday. I'm just refusing to pretend otherwise. After I hung up, I made Earl Grey with honey, sat in Grandma's chair, and opened her journal to a page she'd marked for me. Delia will read this someday, probably in this very chair. Sweet girl, you'll doubt yourself. You'll wonder if you should have shared more, given Victoria the benefit of the doubt. Don't. Some people see family as something to love. Others see it as something to liquidate. You can't change which one Victoria is, but you can protect yourself from it. The real inheritance I'm leaving you isn't the money or the jewels. It's the knowledge of who you are versus who she is. Use it wisely. And remember, in poker as in life, the best hand isn't always the one with the highest cards. It's the one played with the most skill. You've got both, my dear. Play them well. I closed the journal and smiled. Somewhere across town, Victoria was probably plotting her revenge, planning her contest strategy, or maybe just staring at that fake ring and finally understanding what Grandma had thought of her all along. But here, in this house full of memories instead of metrics, love instead of liquidation, I raised my tea cup to the empty chair across from me. See you Saturday, Grandma, I whispered. Same as always. The real diamonds sat in my safe, but the real treasure was knowing that Grandma had seen through Victoria's performance and chosen truth over blood, love over manipulation, and Saturday afternoons over estate valuations. The ring might have been the symbol, but the message was clear. Authenticity always outshines even the brightest fake.